this thing on?
We talking about practice, man.
I work with my hands. It's a misdemeanor in 27 states.
You gotta be comfortable with your co-host in this amount of space.
Yeah, I can see me and you.
This guy runs a state.
You get that through your head?
You just got hashtag content.
You know, technology and stuff.
Open your grill. It's stuck in your teeth.
Now I have to mark them so I don't get the lick mic.
You're not really that stupid, are you?
Quavos.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
We'd have a lot of editing this time.
The ceiling is the roof. Let's make it happen.
Stephen Hauschka's right leg better than the peg legs of Tampa. Bills hold off the Bucs and are now 4-2.
Jon Scott of Spectrum News joins us right from the 50-yard line to discuss that bonkers win.
Plus, beer guru Will Cleveland keeps falling for our phone calls. This week, we talk fall beer things.
And it's been a few weeks, but Get Off My Lawn is back. TBD!
To be determined, episode 34, previously recorded from the studio in Mom's basement.
Oh, is that where this is?
This is. We are in Mom's basement currently.
I don't know why every time, I know you maybe have messy parts, like maybe your room is messy because you always bag my head like this is some kind of action movie, and then I just show up down here.
This is not Taken, I'll have you know. Okay?
Yeah, that is one of the action movies. It's used a lot.
You willingly show up to Mom's basement every week.
No, what? I don't even know what those are called. Not knapsacks. Well, I don't know. Oh, burlap. The burlap sack business is booming in Tinseltown. It's in like half of the action movies.
Oy vey. All right. What a start to episode 34. At Sports by Bond, Stephen Bond with at Trebs, Matt Traybold. Exciting show.
I'm excited.
New Fots, old
excited.
Fots joining the show.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, Jon Scott going to join us from, I always want to call it the Ralph.
I think he's calling us.
R.I.P. the Ralph.
Yeah, the cap. The cap.
New
nice.
Era Field. Will Cleveland going to join us to talk beer things. I'm grumpy again, so we've got...
It's back.
We've got to get off my lawn. We're obviously talking Bills. We're going to talk the rest of the NFL. World Series is set. Sabres somehow get a win, and a dramatic win at that. Cuse losing. Penn State Ant returns. The Nittany Lions setting records, making numbers.
Nombres. Los.
We got a lot this week, but let's dive into it. Bills hosting the Bucs. They get the win 30-27. The run game, very effective today.
It's back.
It is. You're right.
Well, consistency is a different thing, yes. Because they sort of came back a few weeks ago. LaShawn McCoy had like the first legitimate rushing performance. Not as good as today, obviously, of the season, but today, all hands on deck. I mean, Michael Tolbert. I don't know why I called him Michael.
It's very official.
I know.
It's very official.
Yes. This is the guy who loves a dance after a first down.
Yeah.
The fake tie. Mm-hmm. So, suit and tie. Justin Timberlake was just on the TV. So, they had everybody rocking it out of that backfield. Taiwan Jones.
Yeah.
Had a little bit of
plays.
love. Yeah.
Big plays there. Defense took a while to get going, but when it did, they were good.
Yeah. 2
takeaways in the first half. They had the crucial turnover at the end of the game. It was Trey White had the crucial forced fumble, and the fumble recovery.
Yeah, FFNFR.
So, I mean, he played. Listen, I don't want to say he got beat. Is the best way to put it. He didn't get burned. He got beat.
Because it was pretty good coverage.
It was a great throw and a great catch by Mike Evans, which subsequently took out Fots Giannicastro.
We'll get to that in a second.
We will get to that in a second, but to the game first. The offense, though, left points on the board.
Yes.
The missed field goal by Hauschka, and listen, he's allowed to. Nobody's
it was
perfect.
Gonna happen
it's going to
some
happen
point.
eventually. But the key one coming just before the half, where, and we'll talk with Jon Scott about this, but this was really a big gaffe offensively. Clock management, play calling.
It's been a problem this season.
All melted into one. Bad decision-making at the quarterback position, and it leads to just the obvious moment where that team gets booed off at halftime.
Got to take advantage. And we've talked about in the show before, the defense has been, obviously, when national outlets, national shows about the NFL talk about the Buffalo Bills, because they're still one of those teams that's in the doldrums in terms of national respect.
Yeah.
So when they are mentioned, it's not long, but they are talking about this defense. And this defense needs a little bit more help going forward.
It does.
From the offense. I mean, the offense wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination today, but just a little bit more.
We'll get to the defense a little bit more, too. Zay struggles. It said he officially had 2 targets. I thought he got targeted more than that, but ESPN had him at 2. Only 1 catch on the day. It's not good. He's up to only 6 receptions on the year.
That is a striking number. I mean, in the second half, there was one time he was in the end zone. It would have been a tough catch, but I think he was in fairly good position to give a really good stab at it, and it was thrown way out of bounds by Tyrod. But as you had mentioned when we were producing this thing, the first half, a lot of that falls on what should have been a phenom in Zay Jones this season.
Yeah, 399 career college receptions. He's got a fewer than what he had in college. It's not good.
Almost entirely that number.
It's not good right now. I want to talk quickly about the 2 most talented players, and I think that's the way to describe this next point. 2 most talented players on this team are Shady and Marcel Darius. Shady's been productive, and Shady has wanted to be better this year. Shady always wants the ball. That's just in his nature. He thinks he should probably carry the ball every down, and they'll still win games. But that's fine. You want to have if your lead back, if you're going to be a run team, your lead back needs to want to have the ball every single play, whether it be a catch out of the backfield or a run, and he gives you that, and he gives you a different piece. And he was a big reason why they won today.
Absolutely. He finally got his first touchdown. But going to the other guy, Darcel Marius. Oh, gosh.
There you did it again.
I keep doing it.
But listen, it's such a good video that it's hard not to.
Yeah, I mean, really, I'll just play it off as giving him love.
There you go. I did want to mention Shady goes 23 carries, 91 yards, and as you mentioned, the first rushing touchdown, had 2 on the day.
And he dropped another one.
So, yeah, he did. He dropped another one, which was interesting. However, Marcel Darius has been the complete opposite. So if you look at Darius's total stats this year, he has 8 total tackles, 4 solo, 4 assisted, only 1 sack. And that's at the price of $16.4 million, or just over 10% of the Bills' entire cap.
And it's a mix of both him not producing on the field, and it looks like a big reason for that is he might not care is kind of a strong word, but he's definitely not putting his all compared to past seasons.
Doesn't look like he cares.
Into it, and then he hasn't always been able to be out there on the field, even though that's more minor in terms of these 2 reasons. But man, oh man, this is a guy at his girth moves more like a LaShawn McCoy than his defensive line counterparts in a lot of places around the league and on this very team. He is so athletic. He deserves to be in that top 2, like you mentioned, in terms of talent, football talent, honestly just athleticism in general as a human being on this team.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh, you're good.
I feel like the storylines early on were about how Darius just didn't seem motivated in this season. And then this team gets to winning, and I think the media and the fans sort of forget about Darius. He's the benefactor of these wins. He really is at the end of the day. And this is the troubling part, is this coaching staff will never address it. And ownership loves him. So what do you do with the guy?
It's a big personality.
To me, it's clear that he is not interested in playing in a Buffalo uniform.
And to your point a second ago, I think it was John Madden that said, the best deodorant is winning. So you would expect him to maybe be more motivated and thus be playing better as they started being this overachieving team. 2-4-2, and it just hasn't happened just yet.
Darius is in his 7th year now. He's only 27 years old. So this is the dilemma with him. What do you do? I've talked with some Bills fans who want to trade him. They want to get rid of him. And they feel like, and I have mentioned this too, the trade for Aaron Donald, sorry. I think that trade is difficult to pull off because it's clear when you look at Marcel Darius, he's nowhere near
it's definitely
where
not,
Aaron Donald is right now. It's not even close.
Definitely not going to happen going forward.
No.
At least this season and this offseason, probably even on that, unless Marcel really starts blowing up here.
Yeah.
Because he just does not have the numbers. Those numbers were not good. Those are paltry numbers you mentioned a second ago.
Yeah. I mean, that's not $16.4 million.
Yes.
That's not 10% of the cap numbers.
It's almost twice as much as LaShawn is making this season.
Almost twice. And I would argue that Shady has been infinitely better. I don't even know how you qualify
in an
it.
underachieving season, no less, he's been infinitely better at his position.
So what do you do with Darius? That is the question. The question I always came back to is, what do you do with Zay Jones at this point? Well, he's young. You got to give him time. You just have to give him time.
He has.
Period.
Yeah. You expect it to a little degree.
But Darius is in his 7th season, and he's in the midst of a huge contract. And he's locked in. He's locked in for, I think, at least this season and next before you can at least make a decision. So you have to find a way to motivate this guy, or Brandon Beane has to find a way to deal him. Beane has already showed early in his general managing career that he can make moves of great value. Of great significance is probably the better way to put this. I shouldn't say great value because we still don't know what we're getting yet with these deals. You won't know for years down the road, but...
What's even more troublesome is that I'm not sure, because obviously I'm not there behind closed doors in meeting rooms and such.
Right.
I'm not sure if Sean McDermott is the best motivator, but he's a guy that, at least with himself, is very disciplined, and he wants, maybe more so than most of his counterparts in the NFL, and just kind of throughout coaching, wants discipline from his players. And to be in that kind of organization with maybe a bigger emphasis on motivation, and it's not happening Marcel Darius, very, very alarming.
Well, I'll tell you, he doesn't have to look any further than right next to him in Kyle Williams as the great motivator, because it's clear that he's the leader of this team, and you see it from the videos that
absolutely right
the
today.
Team posts. You get that sense in the locker room because he's the guy you go and ask all the questions of.
Yeah.
Not only what's happening on the defense, but on the offense too. What's happening overall with this team? You go to Kyle Williams because he's the elder statesman. He's on the right
of what the topic is.
You go to him for a comment. It was kind of like how everyone used to go to Fred. Fred would weigh in on everything. Kyle's now that guy. And when Kyle delivers a speech, you want to go run through a wall. So if Kyle's delivering these speeches pregame, which I'm assuming he is, I'm assuming he's not quiet and then after the game he's saying something. I'm assuming he's trying to get the entire team pumped up. I would imagine he's trying to get the defensive line pumped up too.
I would commit property damage for him.
And well done. But look at that defensive line. You have Shaq Lawson as a defensive end was taken what? 19th overall?
Mucho high.
I want to say?
Yeah.
19th overall. Right next to him should be Marcel Darius, a 3rd overall pick.
Yeah.
And the highest paid player in Buffalo sports history. Kyle Williams, a 5th-round pick, but is obviously one of the warriors of the NFL at this point. And on the outside, Jerry Hughes, who was a great trade by the Bills, by Doug Whaley and the front office before this regime. But they have signed him long-term, and he has been good. While Jerry didn't have the game today he probably wanted to have, he has had better games. He has had flashes where it's like, man, he's a dominant defensive end in this league.
And if you saw sound of him after the game, you can definitely say game blouses. I'll let you go into that. If you want to find it, it's not hard to find. You can find it yourself. Because I don't really want to get too far into it because I don't want him coming for me.
Marcel had 5 tackles today, 3 solo. So it was better effort today. This was by far his most productive day of this season. He did have a sack earlier this year, but by far his most productive day.
Just going early, too.
Yeah. Just to put it in perspective, Jerry Hughes already with 10 combined tackles and 2 sacks. Maybe my number's wrong. No, he's got more than that. Why am I looking at this all goofed up here?
You're my hero.
Oh, it's in wins and losses. That's why. They got him separated here. He's up to, I believe, 19. I apologize.
Very nice.
But he's also played in every single game, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
Played on top of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 19, 11, 8, and 3 sacks. I was selling him short. He had 2 against Carolina.
It's 2 more than I had.
It's true. But, all right. Enough about Marcel. We could talk, and we're not going to convince anyone that in the front office that he should be traded or what to do with him. It's just not going to happen. It's just
Let's do it.
If I feel the frustration, I'd imagine Bills fans feel the frustration because you know what the potential is with this guy. That's all. We move to a scary moment in the football game that had nothing to do with the game, but it was on the Mike Evans touchdown. Fots Jenna Cottrell goes viral, and not for a good thing. She got clobbered by the Trey Mike Evans train.
And what a crazy play to start it off.
Yeah.
And it's good that she stayed her ground because that was a great play in the game. Maybe the coolest looking play with how he dragged that second foot. But they both go to the ground, White and Evans, and they just keep rolling. Stop rolling, guys.
Wow.
It's
not
downhill.
So much momentum. There was so much momentum there, though.
Yeah. It was that drag foot. That's what did it. It was like a power boost, a little turbo. So she's standing her ground right there, and there's not a lot of space over there. And she gets hit, but she held onto that camera like a champ, and I'm happy to be her coworker. I'm happy that she has been on the show as a reporter guest before.
It was impressive. Did that tie the game at 20? I'm trying to find it here.
Was that the tying touchdown?
No, that was the O.J. Howard. Well, which one was it?
Oh, yeah. O.J. Howard with some touchdowns today when Cameron Brate's been... Oh, my gosh. Cameron Brate didn't have a touchdown today.
So it made it...
Broke the streak.
Made it a 4-point game.
You know, he went to Howard. Oh, gosh.
Oh,
no.
That's a massive find right there, sir.
He went to Harvard.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, Travis, but he actually went to Harvard.
I just really wanted to jab UNLV a little bit more for losing to Howard.
I don't know if you know this, but Fitzmagic wears his wedding ring when he plays.
I actually did not know that. You were mentioning like cliches. I didn't know that. Well, you have...
Every time I've seen the guys wearing their wedding ring, all throughout Hard Knocks, the whole 9 yards.
Huh.
So,
interesting.
But anyway, listen, kudos to Jenna. She stands in there, and this is a girl who has come out since being on the show. And we knew when she was on the show that she was battling cancer, okay? And she's going to be battling it for the next 5 years until she's, cancer-free. That's the whole idea. She's cancer-free right now, but the idea is you've got to get through that 5-year window because Mom's doing the same thing. So...
At Sports My Mom.
At Sports My Mom, the executive producer. So... The fact that she has beaten cancer and now taken a shot from 2 NFL players is insane. Like, as you mentioned, they were kind of sliding through there. That's legit. They were going for her knees. That's a low hit.
That's targeting.
It's
if
targeting.
This was college.
It's targeting.
Get
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, and she popped right up, and she was okay, and that was great to see. But listen, at the time, I saw a body being hit and blonde hair everywhere, and I was like, my God, it's Jenna.
I was flabbergasted.
And
I saw it from afar. I just ran to my phone to text her to make sure everything was all right.
So quick to the TV and to the phone to make sure she was okay.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Yes, it was.
Oh, my God, was that Jenna? I think it was Jenna.
The seriousness
like
of your
boss.
face. I don't mean to laugh, but the seriousness
because I'm not
of
like
your face.
Like that serious of a
You're
person.
never. Exactly. So I was like, oh, my God.
Jubilation Nation, baby.
If he's this concerned, I better be this concerned. And
yeah.
I definitely was after seeing the hit, no doubt about it. But when immediately she tweets out and everything like that.
Oh, yeah. No, luckily she did that.
And she got to the group message for your station right away, which was good because
I was like,
there was a lot of concerned people.
Oh, crap.
What a moment, but glad she's okay.
Like period, a period, boss period.
All right, so we're already 17 and a half minutes into this. Let's move to quickly the other storylines around Week 7 in the NFL. Rematch of Super Bowl 51. We watched the first half of this game, and it was all Patriots. And this was the Falcons are in trouble.
It is surprising. I know they've had some defensive injuries. Vic Beasley Jr. has dealt with his injury problems this season, but
it appears there's a Revolutionary War going on just outside the field in Foxborough because the fog there just looks like musket fire everywhere.
Oh, my gosh.
The fog there is intense. You can't even tell. For some camera angles, you couldn't even tell who was who. So, listen, the Falcons are really, really bad. The Rams blank the Cardinals, and I know they lose Carson Palmer in the process, but that's an impressive win to me.
Absolutely. And just the fact that Goff has had his surprise moments this season.
Yeah.
And he had a rushing touchdown, but he wasn't doing a bunch throwing to his tight ends and wide receivers in this one. And Todd Gurley, going back to fantasy football for a second, so disappointing last year. Refused to pick him this year, and he's a stud muffin.
You told me not to pick him, and I believed you.
I know. You said it on the show before, and I will take that.
Just for the record.
That's
just
on
out
me.
there for the record.
That's on me.
You know what's amazing about this Rams team is, they add a bunch of Bills, obviously, through trades and
that's the reason
acquisitions.
it's good. You're right.
But it's interesting to me that what a difference a year makes in terms of coaching. So they completely gut the coaching staff for the most part, and McVay looks like a genius at 31 years old.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Young blood.
All right, the AFC West still up for grabs. Broncos get blanked by the Chargers. I have blacked here. I don't know why that is, why that changed that.
That's not it.
Very awkward. That's not good.
God,
That's not good. And then Oakland beats KC, obviously, on Thursday. So who's the best team in this division?
That's the thing. Through a few weeks, actually more than that, of this season, you're like, I don't care about the depth. And even that early, it was showing of the AFC West because Kansas City looks this good. But
Yeah.
they drop a couple, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, you start to think.
And I guess you could say the top half, at least in these matchups, where the Chargers weren't projected to win.
Yeah.
The Raiders weren't projected to win, and they're picking up massive wins. This is a deep, deep division.
It is. I didn't expect the Broncos to get blanked.
Yeah.
Amazing. It really was. All right, let's move to the World Series. We now have a series. Houston at L.A. Trabs wants to quickly mention a couple points about the Yanks losing 2 in a row because we have not been able to be on the air until now.
I don't know if it's the Wednesday or the Friday show, and we talked about this. We both expected it to be a Game 6 win for Houston, but you went with Yankees were going to lose both. I thought the Yankees would have come back.
I don't know why. It was just an odd feeling that I just felt like they were, and I have nothing to back this up on other than a gut feeling.
Gotta go with your gut.
They were just running out of time. And really, it's not even, listen, it was what, was it a 4-1 victory in Game 7? No, Game 7.
Oh, they got slacked pretty good. I don't know the exact number, but it is definitely surprising that you see Jose Altuve, just in case you didn't think before this series, or even before maybe even Game 7, that he was going to be the MVP of the AL. Hits his 5th home run of that series. And then you have Lance McCullers Jr. showing that, man, they can really sling it. In that, I mean, I know he was doing it in bullpen work, but just the fact that he is not even really within the top few options. Because Justin Verlander, he kind of gets moved up just because he has shown throughout his career so far how good he is.
Game 6 was 7-0. Game 7 was 4-0.
4-0, yeah.
So 4-0. They get
blanked him, yeah.
But still, I don't know. I don't know what it was. I guess I had more faith in Houston's rotation and lineup.
Yeah.
Listen, I think you look at the bullpen, and I think the Yanks had the better bullpen.
Oh, absolutely.
Without question.
Well, look at the storylines for the bullpen throughout this postseason for the Astros. It was Lance McCullers Jr., a starter, working in relief work because, hey, they have to. It's a last-ditch effort in Game 7. So he goes in. I think he got the last 7 batters, I want to say. He was throwing all sorts of curveballs. Yeah. And then it was Justin Verlander for a couple points. 1 good, 1 bad earlier in this postseason.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that you're not hearing the names of a lot of actual relief pitchers for the Astros, it was definitely Yankees in terms of that battle.
Right.
VPs.
This could be the first matchup of two 100-win teams since the O's and Reds did it in 1970. So, early prediction. Game 1 is on Tuesday. Who you got in this?
Both teams are pretty young, but just because you look at a Carlos Correa and a Jose Altuve, who's definitely not as young as the other guys that I'm going to be mentioning, they have a little bit more under their belt, though. And because of that, then a Bellinger and a Seager, if he can play with those back issues, and a Crush Taylor. Because of that, and because of what's going on in the lineup with that, just a little smidge more veteran sauce going on with the AL side of things. I think Houston's going to take it. But, man, we were talking now going back a couple months with the halfway point in the MLB season where who is going to have the best record going into it, Houston or Los Angeles.
Here we are.
In the end, look what we got. Now, Cleveland had their time to shine, but in the end, it's the 2 top teams in terms of record going into the second half. We got them.
I like L.A. for the simple reason of this. This team at one point won 18 of 19. And then at another point, while Cleveland was winning 22, they lost 18 of 19. So this team knows how to deal with losses, and they know how to deal with wins. They know how to deal with failure, and they know how to deal with success. And I think when you get to the postseason, because everything is amplified, everything is seemingly under a microscope, every pitch, every out, every at-bat, whatever it is, it's so much more amplified than it is normally during the regular season. I think they have a better awareness about them of, listen, it's one game, we move along, we've had great wins, we've had great losses, here's how we do it.
Well, like you said, they've dealt with both extremes. They've shown that they can rattle off wins, maybe the best in terms of these actual Dodgers on this roster, maybe the best in MLB history. They're definitely up there in terms of those ranks. And right now, they're winning. They're not losing right now.
Yeah.
So they have that in the bag? I was going to say, in the holster. There we go.
Holster, there you go.
I was trying to think that belt thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, Sabres get a come-from-behind victory this past weekend in Boston. Buffalo down 4-1. That's when I left and went to the gym because I was done with that game.
Irked?
I later come home to find out and I checked on Twitter when I got home that it was an overtime come-from-behind victory.
Oh, yeah.
And I was flabbergasted.
I was at the station,
As were
too.
you.
I stopped watching it, but somebody, I forgot who it was mentioned to me at the station. The fact that a couple of the Bruins' goals were a little bit on the flukier side.
Yeah, the second one definitely.
It made you think, you got to take a grain of salt to what the score was at that point. Because in terms of actual play and eye test, it wasn't that far apart, even though the score was. So it allowed maybe for that kind of comeback to happen.
And the Bees without Tuukka Rask is always huge.
Yes.
That's always a huge advantage. All right, so is this a type of win, not win, that can get a room going, that can create momentum? Man, the typos in here were just atrocious.
So it says, is this the type of wine hat?
Yeah, wine hat.
It's supposed to be win that. Go wine hat.
Oy
it makes you
vey.
think it's one of those drinking caps with like the beer and stuff, but just wine. You lush.
That's what happens when I get typing really, really fast. Like, I got a question or a point, and I want to get it down on paper, and then I just, it's not good. So, yeah, is this the type of win that can create momentum? Sure, I think so. And I think it's regardless of who is in net for Boston. Boston had its main guns back. Bergeron returns from injury.
Exactly. It's not a depleted team, but yes, one big time.
It is in the fact that it's in goal, but they get a few pieces back in terms of skaters. Yeah. So, listen, I still think it is. You're down on the road. It's against a divisional opponent. That's a good win. So, Tuesday, you host the Red Wings. Team that's, I think, has been better than some expected them to be this year. And then you have to go on the road Wednesday against Columbus. Two big-time opponents. Columbus, obviously, the better of the two teams here. If you somehow walk away with 2 wins here, I'll believe that this Boston win sparks something. If you come away with 2 losses, no. You're right back to square one.
That's the thing. There's a difference between having an opportunity to really take something by the horns and have it really blast you forward into relevance this season throughout the NHL. There's that, and actually taking that opportunity and actually doing what you're supposed to be doing in order to get to that goal.
This team still, I don't know. They're infuriating because on paper they have the talent, but we've been saying that. I feel like I've been saying that for the past 2 years. Travis Mack going to steal the pencil yet again. You'll find out later.
They don't know.
All right, never mind. I won't ruin it. All right, coming up after this bump music, we welcome in a new Fots. Jon Scott of Spectrum News out in Buffalo was at the game today. Joined us from the Ralph, a.k.a. the Cap. It was a fun interview. He's next on To Be Determined.
You're you. I'm me. I hope you listened to the first couple blocks of this show because, hey, we're back here on To Be Determined.
I think it's back-to-back weeks you've been able to use that line now, Trebs.
It's good. I use it with every new guest we have. It's a beautiful thing.
The reaction's always a little bit different because people are never quite sure
like
what to expect by that. Wait, what do you mean?
Wow, he's weird.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Fortunately, our next guest is somewhat used to your antics because he's been on the beat for so long, and you've been
for a couple years
on the beat for a couple years too. Jon Scott of Spectrum News, the Bills beat reporter for Spectrum News. You can find him on Twitter at JonScottTV. Mr. Scott, what's going on, sir? How are things?
You know, it's a victory Sunday heading into a victory Monday. My 4 years covering this team, those are fewer and far between than what it appears we may be in store for this time.
God, that is definitely the truth. All right, so as you mentioned, it is a Bills win today. They squeak one out. Tampa made plays. Buffalo walks away with the win. What's your instant takeaway about Week 7 in this win?
This is different than what we've seen, at least in my 4 years covering the team and talking to other people who've been covering and following the team far longer. This is a different type of win and a different game than we're used to. We're used to LaShawn McCoy fumbling, the Bucs going down and scoring a touchdown, and the Bills lose. That's what this 17-year playoff drought has been full of. And instead, the quarterback who everyone says can't get it done in the fourth quarter when they're trailing or tied rolls down the field in just a few plays and ties the game. Then the defense, led by the rookie that they traded down and passed the quarterback up for forces the big fumble. And the kicker that for years we've been so off of Dan Carpenter and his ability to not make those big plays, he's the one who ends up winning it. So it was completely something that showed you that maybe, even though we're only 6 games in, this may actually be a different script than we've read for 17 years.
So the run game returns in a big way for the Bills today. How big was that in helping Buffalo get the win?
I mean, the Bills go as LaShawn McCoy goes on offense, and he has been visibly frustrated after the Cincinnati game. He seemed maybe more demoralized than I've seen him in his 3 years here, and he comes back from the bye week and says, I got to get going. I got to get going. I got to get going. And it's true, because we understand that Tyrod Taylor does have limitations, especially with the lack of wide receivers that this team has. So the running game is what this team has relied upon even before LaShawn McCoy came to town. But he's so electric, and this team has to do that. And I think even more so, a bigger key to the running game was Tyrod Taylor. He hasn't used his legs like he has in the years past. Through the first 5 games of the season, he really took off and had some really good gains and kept that defense on their heels, which also opens things in the passing game. So I think they've led the league in rushing the past 2 years, not only because you have one of the best backs in LaShawn McCoy, but because you have the best scrambling quarterback in Tyrod Taylor.
Jon Scott of Spectrum News joining us right from the stadium, by the way. So John's probably the most officially dressed guest I think we've ever had on, by the way. So it's spectacular. Got the suit and tie, the earpiece in, the whole 9 yards, the IFB for the technical talk. All right, this team obviously coming out of the bye in Week 6. I thought the defense looked sluggish out of the gate. Once again, they found ways to get turnovers. What made them so effective against what I think everyone feels is a pretty potent offensive group over on the other sideline in Tampa?
Well, the Bills' defense has been, I guess, quoted, or not quoted, but as labeled, bend but don't break.
Yeah.
And they bent a lot. I counted 23 plays of 10 yards or more that they allowed, 447 yards of total offense allowed, by far the most that they've allowed this season. Jameis Winston, we were wondering, is he going to play with that sprained AC joint? He looked like that was not an issue at all. The Bills are thin at cornerback. E.J. Gaines got hurt. Even Sharice Wright got hurt for a moment there, and so they exploited that with Deshaun Jackson on E.J. Wright. At one point, Matt Milano, for the one play Sharice Wright was out, he was playing in the slot. Matt Milano, a linebacker. It's like, I'm like, what is going on here? That's a 58. But the defense, yeah, they're opportunistic, and they even had opportunities that they didn't cash in on. Micah Hyde, who has been phenomenal this season. He dropped an interception down the field. E.J. Gaines had one in his hands that flipped into Deshaun Jackson's hands earlier. So they had 3 takeaways, could have had 5, and that's just what they feel they need to do. They were very critical of themselves in the locker room afterwards, especially Tre'Davious White. He didn't want to talk about the fumble, the strip that he had. All he wanted to talk about is how he was still stewing over that Mike Evans touchdown, which, by the way, the coverage was phenomenal. The throw and catch were just better.
Yeah.
Now, why do you think the offense wasn't able to score on those first couple defensive turnovers?
Well, one was a missed field goal, I believe. Another one was just an absolutely mind-boggling, terrible play call. It's like you have 12 seconds left. You're inside the 20. You take one shot for the end zone, and then you kick a field goal. Like, I don't need Tony Romo to be the play-by-play or the color guy to tell me. Like, that's just football. And you look at the route tree, there's not one person even going into the end zone.
Yeah.
It's Sean McDermott, I guess, took the blame, although I think that's McDermott doing his thing. I mean, the play call was terrible, and Tyrod needs to know better than you can't throw it in the flat with no timeouts in 12 seconds. That ultimately could have cost them the game, because if they would have had a 3-point lead when McCoy scores that touchdown, instead of tying the game and needing the Tre'Davious White strip and the Hauschka field goal at the end. There's some things I thought overall the offense was pretty good here. Maybe the best performance they've had this season, but still there's things to work on, which you could maybe look at that as a positive.
Yeah, that's true. Deontay Thompson signed off the scrap heap this week, led the team in receiving yards. 107, I believe, was his total. How big a win is this for Brandon Beane?
Yeah, I mean, although let's remember, Doug Whaley originally found Deontay Thompson, brought him into camp a couple years ago, and he was a stud in training camp up there at St. John Fisher College.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I thought he was going to make the team, and he was one of the last cuts, one of those guys like what Brandon Riley was this year, where people are like, oh, that guy has to make the team, and then he doesn't. He's on the practice squad, and there's a reason he's still on the practice squad as they go through a turnstile of wide receivers. They know more things than we do. But Deontay Thompson, I mean, it actually was shocking that the Bears got rid of him, because they're as in just dire straits at wide receiver as the Bills are. He's a speedster who has worked with Tyrod not only here in Buffalo, but also their time in Baltimore. So they have some chemistry, and it was really telling to me when I saw the inactives and Kalen Clay was inactive, and he's been someone that's been a number 2 or 3 receiver, and then Deontay Thompson is rolling on the opening series as the third wide receiver. So we all know this team doesn't have a downfield threat, and that's been part of the issue, one of the many in the receiving core. And hopefully, maybe at least through one game, Deontay Thompson is going to be that. And yeah, I mean, I guess you got to say Brandon Beane refound him. But again, let's give Doug Whaley. Doug Whaley wasn't actually bad at finding those like small hidden gems. It was just the big moves that maybe were his trouble spot.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. That's a great point about Doug Whaley.
So Tyrod, another solid game. Some really good plays, others not so good. Has he done enough this year to make you think he's the guy moving forward, or does he still have more to prove?
So here's my take on Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor is a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. There are not many quarterbacks in this league that, regardless of the weapons around them, can be effective. Aaron Rodgers, Brady, maybe Breeze before. But outside of that, Peyton Manning in his heyday. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, I don't know how many other quarterbacks you could put in this system with these receivers and depleted weapons and be like, go out there and throw for 300 yards every game and do that. I just don't think that. And so on the conversely, I believe if you put Tyrod on some of these teams, like Carson Palmer went down, you put Tyrod on the Cardinals, I think Tyrod Taylor is a very good quarterback in that setting. Yeah. So I think in some capacity, the criticism is unfair to him because it's not just this season that he has not been blessed with a lot of great supporting weapons. Sammy missed a lot of time. Robert Woods missed a lot of time. Even LaShawn's missed some time. So really, who has he had around him to help make him better to maybe bridge the gap of some of his deficiencies? Yes, he misses some throws. He doesn't like to force things in there, which is where you see like you have to throw guys open. That's not his forte because he doesn't want to make mistakes. And if you have certain receivers who are better or guys on the offensive side that can maybe gain that extra yard or something of separation or can make it easier for him, that would benefit him greatly. Is Tyrod Taylor a quarterback I think that can lead the Buffalo Bills to the Super Bowl and win? No. But what other options do they have? The people on the Nathan Peterman train are crazy. Yeah. Like Nathan Peterman's a fine quarterback, and he looked all right in the preseason against the second and third team. But when he was in there with the first team, I mean, he was just average. I mean, he was average basically the whole preseason. He wasn't like Dak Prescott or Russell Wilson when they set the world on fire in preseason. I mean, he was just all right. But people are just looking to push Tyrod out. So it'll be interesting to see what they do after this season. Yeah. I think outside of because I don't really know if there's anything he can do to change that narrative of, hey, I can be the franchise quarterback. But I mean, he is what he is, and I think he's a playoff caliber quarterback. And what can you do if this team continues on this trend and makes the playoffs for the first time in 17 years, and he's the quarterback? And then what? You're going to ship him out? I don't really know how that happens. So it's an interesting narrative and path to ponder as we go down the rest of the way this season.
It's amazing to me because I didn't think we'd be down even being forced to ask that question. Yeah. But at 4-2, you're almost forced to ask it. And the part about Nathan Peterman, he looked good against the 2 and 3s. You're spot on about that. But he was average or below average during his time against the 1s. And some of the plays that Tyrod made today, Nathan Peterman doesn't have a prayer in that situation. Scrambling, getting away from the pressure. Tyrod's the only guy in the league right now that can probably do that because of his speed. And that's
I saw someone tweet that this game was the epitome of like Tyrod Taylor doesn't make plays that a lot of other quarterbacks in the league can, and then Tyrod will make plays that like no other quarterback in the league can. And so that's where it's so maddening for a lot of people where they're like, he's spinning out and he's throwing dimes 30 yards down the field. That throw in Atlanta when he reverse field and on the run hit Charles Clay like 40 yards down the field. How many guys in the league can do that? There aren't that many. But then when Nick O'Leary or someone is streaking down the middle of the field wide open and he doesn't throw the ball, then you're like, what is going on? So that's the dynamic here the back and forth that people have trouble dealing with Tyrod is that He does a lot. He does things that you're like, holy moly, and then he does things like, holy moly, what the heck?
That is a great way.
That is great. That is great. All right, so this is a surprising 4-2 Bills team. Next week they go and host another surprising team in Oakland. Raiders are 3-4, also coming off what I would say today was a pretty emotional win. The win against KC, obviously emotional. It's early, but what do the Bills have to do to get a week 7 or what is it? Week 8 victory. Sorry, what are we in now? It'll be week 8. This was week 7. Next week will be week 8. I've got all the weeks.
All these bye weeks
backwards.
The bye week always confuses me.
Exactly. So week 8, what do they have to do to get the win?
Well, let's see. I mean, the secondary is going to have to buckle up for another tough task.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper's had a heck of a season with drops, and he even had some in his breakout game against the Chiefs, but maybe that's something that gets him going. Michael Crabtree is a matchup nightmare with his size, and he's been really revitalized out there. Even Jared Cook is really starting to show to be a part of that offense. Probably won't see Marshawn Lynch, but honestly, he hasn't been that effective. Jalen Richard and DeAndre Washington are backs, I think, that may suit them better. That offensive line hasn't played as well as people thought they would. So I think the Bills' defense, it's going to be another tough task for them. But I think if they can get pressure on Derek Carr, then that will be a big thing. And then people in Buffalo, I mean, Khalil Mack is an absolute monster. I mean, that gif that you see of him just jabbing the dude with one arm. I mean, I think it was Fisher, who was a number 1 overall pick, and he jabs him with his right arm and puts him on the ground. He's an absolute monster. He was a monster last year in Oakland in disrupting that game. And this offensive line, while they played better, I mean, what's going to be out there? I mean, is it going to be Cordy Glenn again? Is it going to be, is Deion Dawkins going to have to play some? Jordan Mills on the other side? Like, this is going to be another task for them where it's like, you didn't hear much of Gerald McCoy today, which they did a really good job, and he's an elite defensive lineman.
Yeah.
Khalil is the best player defensively in the entire National Football League. He's going to get his. It's just how do they, not only as just a man-on-man blocking, but as a scheme and play-calling-wise, make it so he is not nearly as disruptive. I think offensively that's going to be the key.
So getting away from football right now, the Final 5, number 1, what is your alma mater?
University of Dayton. Go Flyers.
Woo!
Dayton
it's good basketball up there.
Listen, I don't like Dayton just because of the history with Syracuse basketball, but that's
it was my greatest moment here. 2 months into the job, I watched them beat Ohio State and Syracuse on their way to their first Elite 8 in 30 years.
I liked it. I don't know if I liked it.
Not so much on this end of the table, but that's all right. Jon Scott of Spectrum News, what is your secret talent?
I can moonwalk.
Oh, really? Oh, my God. I wish we had a wide enough shot here.
In high school, does anyone remember AskJeeves.com?
Yes.
So I was big into Michael Jackson, and so I asked Jeeves, how do I learn how to moonwalk? And Jeeves delivered. So it is a major hit at weddings. It is major.
That's spectacular.
And Jeeves delivered is an awesome line.
Yes, it is.
All right, number 3, best Halloween costume. Ugh.
I'm going to say it's a tie. I was Quail Man my freshman year of college.
Nice.
Full on with the underwear over the cargo khaki shorts. And then I was an American Gladiator and jousted with a friend of mine on top of kegs. So
that's spectacular.
Those probably my two.
Big Q-tips? You get the big Q-tips going?
Yeah. That's what we did.
Awesome.
That's amazing. All right. Speaking of kegs, what's your favorite beer?
My favorite beer is Great Lakes Christmas Ale.
Okay.
But it's just a seasonal. So if we'll go normal, I'd maybe say Bell's Oberon is maybe my favorite yearly beer.
To round it out, where can we find you on the internet?
Yeah, on Twitter at Jon Scott TV. I have a Facebook page, Jon Scott TV, as well, and our website. I don't even know honestly what our new website is because we change names all the time. But I know it's far more functional than it was like 3 weeks ago.
Good.
So you could probably find it on the internet if you search Spectrum News Buffalo.
Something is bound to come up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Something is bound to come up. Jon Scott of Spectrum News, this is wildly fun, my man. We appreciate the time, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's throw some bump music in. I don't have the official rundown because we printed out 2 pages of it thus far in the night. But I know coming up we're going to talk a little bit about Syracuse football. They get close against Miami. But is close good enough? I don't know. In my mind, no, because more victories are done. And 2 interesting numbers. One to do with why Trav's Mad is wearing a Penn State Ant t-shirt. We'll explain next on To Be Determined.
Let the bodies hit the flow. Let the bodies hit the flow. Let the bodies hit the flow. I hope we don't have to pay any royalties for that. And we're back here on To Be Determined.
I think technically the music in the background is different. Those are just the same lyrics.
Yeah. I don't know if you could have heard that. Could have heard it.
All right, C-Block, time for some segments To Be Determined. You find the show on Twitter at TBD_show, Instagram To Be Determined Show, Facebook.com/ToBeDeterminedPod. Email the show tbdmailman@gmail.com. You can find all those links on our website, ToBeDeterminedShow.com.
Don't you lie to me.
As I mentioned, it's a C-Block. I won't lie to you, Traps. Don't worry.
Thanks.
Never would.
You're a good kid. You're a good kid. Come on.
I do what I can. All right, let's go B-side story. And this week it's Syracuse football. They fall to the number 8 team in all the land, Miami, the Hurricanes, 27-19. The final. Cliche, but it was a tale of 2 halves, especially for Eric Dungey. First half, he threw a record-tying 4 interceptions. The second half, Dungey was much better. But he had to be because of what he did in the first.
Well, you're not, and we said it on the, I don't know if it was the Wednesday show last week or the Friday show, you're not going to keep down a passing attack of this caliber. Now, you could say whatever you want about the other cores, or is it corpse? I don't think it is corpse.
Ooh, you're real morbid there.
No, CORPS. It was a joke on pronunciation.
Cores?
It was a joke on the difference between pronunciation and spelling.
All right, that went right over my head then.
Hey, you're a good kid. All right, so back to Syracuse
It's not
football.
difficult to do. I'm only 5'7", so. Sorry.
Back to Syracuse football. You weren't going to keep these guys down for too
Right.
long. You weren't going to keep specifically Eric Dungey in the caliber of quarterback he is in the collegiate ranks down for this long. I mean, granted, yes, very bad first half. Like you said, historically bad first half.
Yeah.
Tying the record of, I believe, last season in the bowl game by Houston at the time, Greg Ward Jr., who I believe is now a wide receiver on the practice squad for the Philadelphia Eagles. That was bad. That was really bad, and it becomes worse because with the U right now, when you get a turnover, they put a massive medallion on you, and they really blow it up.
The turnover chain.
But second half, it's a beautiful thing. With how bad that first half was, regardless of the inevitability, I think you could say, of them coming back because they have Eric Dungey, because they have those wideouts, I don't know if people expected, I certainly didn't, that they would have gotten between 20 and 19. They would have gotten that close to it.
You know, what do we see from Dungey in the second half? I think the word that epitomizes his second half performance was toughness, because he kept taking licks and he kept getting up. And there were a few times he went to scramble, and he does not know how to slide. I'm convinced of this. Even when he does slide, he seems to get hit sometimes, but he slides on occasion, I think is the best way to put it. He will jump in the air more than he will slide, and he puts himself at risk. And any quarterback is vital to any football team. That's as cliche as it gets. But I think that's very appropriate for this Syracuse team. They're simply not the same when they don't have Dungey's ability to run as a constant threat to opposing defenses. He can throw. We know Zach Mahoney can throw the ball, and Zach Mahoney has stepped in okay. Not great, he's okay. He's an okay college quarterback, and that's the best way to put it. That's giving him credit. Dungey, however, can be a pretty... I think he borders on great. Not NFL caliber. I'm not saying he's an NFL caliber college quarterback, but I think he's a great college quarterback. And the fact that he can get up, run a spread offense very quickly, he's a threat to run, and he can put the ball into his receiver's hands when it is needed. It was needed in the second half, and his ability to run was needed. And in the first half, he was the reason that they're down 10 points at the half. In the second half, he's the reason this is even a one-score game, in my mind.
When I look at what happened in this game, I think the most viral thing, I mean, granted, that record and the response on the sidelines for Miami, that's what is pretty viral, but the most viral thing is the fact that he, like you said, has some issues sliding.
Yeah.
And everyone was showing him I don't know if he was trying to hurdle the defender to get a first down in this. I don't think he got the first down. It was up against, I believe, even 2 dudes, and he just ends up kneeing the dude in the face.
Yeah.
And we have talked
Mortal
about
Kombat-esque type move.
We have talked about it on the show before, and a lot of this comes out of the fact that he has to get out of the pocket maybe more than certainly the coaching staff wants him to, but maybe even him as a dual-threat quarterback would want to, because they just don't have that coming from tailbacks in terms of rushing success. This is a guy that has injury history, even if he didn't.
Yeah.
It's
not good for a quarterback to do it.
A lot of people could get hurt kneeing some dude in the face on a flying effort, I guess you could call it. Yeah, it's definitely effort. So it just comes up again that because the rushing attack isn't what it is, he has to do crazy things like this, and I'm surprised he hasn't been injured worse this season.
His numbers throwing the ball are underwhelming. 13 of 41, 4 picks, only 137 yards. That's not the good part. The good part is that he ran the ball 20 times for 100 yards. And Dante Strickland finally goes over 100 yards. Finally gets over 100 yards as Trabs whacks the monitor here. The rushing attack was working for Syracuse.
Yeah.
It was obvious. They were getting to him on the ground. Ish gets hurt in the first, and he did come back, and he played and had a couple catches in the second half, but he was not the same receiver, I would say.
And
that's not good.
Troublesome.
It's not good. I would say the defense was... I noted here the defense was great, but I want to take that back. I think the defense was okay. As I look at the numbers, and I remember back, I mean, Rozier goes over 300 yards, nearly 350 yards passing.
He's not that kind of quarterback
and he isn't. You're right, and he's not. And Rozier does get 45 yards on the ground, so he accounts for almost 400 yards in total offense. This, I'm just trying to get quickly at Miami ends up with total yards of 480 in offense. And from a defensive standpoint, you just can't give up that many. You can't give a team that many opportunities. They did a nice job of holding them to some field goals here and there. But it's the number 8 team in the nation, and that's what the number 8 team does, is they while Syracuse hangs with you, they did not have the athletes to ultimately make it happen. And that's the unfortunate thing. Syracuse has only beaten 2 top 10 teams once in program history. And it was 1959, the year they had Ernie Davis, and the year they won the national championship.
The Elmira Express.
No, was that the same year that Ernie Davis won the national championship?
Was it?
No, I don't think it was now. I don't want to be. It was 1959. Now I don't remember.
I remember like it was yesterday.
Now I could be wrong about the Ernie Davis thing. I swear he was with Syracuse then.
Please don't curse. But
I'm
going
clicking
back
all
to your
over the
point
place. Sorry,
about the
go for it.
defense, they can even have a lot of good moments and overall a good performance, but what comes out of this is going to be all those turnovers that the opposing defense comes away with. So they're always going to be, with how many turnovers their opposing defense had, they're always going to be looked at as certainly the lesser of the two and just underwhelming.
I was
in a matchup
right.
like this.
I shouldn't have second-guessed myself. Sorry, Trabs.
How dare you?
1960, they won in the Cotton Bowl over Texas for the national championship.
Weren't you a wealth of knowledge?
Well, listen, Wikipedia is a fun thing.
Did you put this in there? Can I believe this?
I quickly typed it during that little segment. So, yeah, listen. Syracuse is... What are they at now? 4-4? You're 4-4, and now you go at FSU. And FSU obviously is not the same team that we all thought FSU was at the beginning of this. Do they have 2 wins in their last 4 games?
It's a possibility.
But Wake and BC are no pushovers, and obviously neither is Louisville. So it's entirely possible this team goes 5-7 and just misses out on a bowl game.
And when it comes to Florida State, yes. I don't know if necessarily underachieving because DeAndre Francois, that meant so much to what they're trying to do this season.
Right.
But they should be able to have the personnel to go way beyond that, so maybe I'll take that back to a certain degree. But you have an angry Florida State team. They're going to get off the schneid at some point this season, and when they do, they're going to pop somebody.
It's going to be at home, too.
Geez, speaking of popping somebody, you see Jimbo Fisher try to fight Seminoles fans.
Yeah, that's how bad it's gotten down there.
Who would have thought that Florida State, that program, seemingly would be untouched from craziness like that in terms of just complete discord?
It's not good. All right, let's stay with college football. We go to by the numbers. The number this week is 110,823. This is the number of people in attendance at the Penn State-Michigan game.
Woo!
Nittany Lions rout Big Blue 42-13. Saquon Barkley an absolute beast. What was it, over 100 yards in the first quarter alone?
Yeah, they've only allowed, I think, it was something like under 83 yards this season, Michigan, or averaged 83 yards. Yes, I think it was averaged. Yeah. 83 for a handful of games would be pretty crazy.
Now, Trabs Matt.
That's
wow,
me.
what did I? I'm getting ahead of myself. Trabs Matt wearing the Ant shirt, the Penn State Aunt, however you say it, Aunt, whatever it is, shirt today, in honor of this game, in honor of this matchup. This was a good win. This was a really good win at home. Now you've got an even bigger matchup against number 6 Ohio State. Is this at the Shoe?
It is.
Okay,
because
so you got to go on the road.
They're looking for revenge because that big win that completely changed the season, changed the perception last year of the Penn State Lions in terms of football, happened against Ohio State at Beeve.
I think this could determine who gets into the college football playoff.
Well,
that's
game. What you see. I mean, this is one of those tip-top conferences, and you don't expect them really to get more than one team in. So, and Wisconsin's really going to be the team that's they're up there.
Yeah.
It's a top 8 team. They had 4 teams in the top 8 this week. So they're going to be up there. But
Michigan, what was it, dropped out of the top 25?
Which is, I
think
think
it's
absurd.
insane. That's crazy talk. What were they going into this game? 7?
Oh, going into this game? No.
17?
I don't think they were. I think I got the number slightly wrong in terms of there being 4 Big Ten teams in the top 8. Maybe it's 3 in the top 6 or something like that.
Listen, we can't have that happen during by the numbers. This is not a good on you by both of us.
That's a whole different number. That's not too much off my back.
All right, so the number this week, 110,823. The honorable mention number is Joe Thomas. Trabs Matt pointing at me as if I forgot.
No, I was going to mention, I guess, other things about the first one. But
sorry.
Hey,
I figured we'd move it along.
Let's rock it out.
Just because there's 2 of them in this segment, that's all. Joe Thomas, the great, and it's hard to say that when you say a Cleveland Brown, but he is great. He's probably the only great player on that team.
Well, that's how it's so striking because there's not many.
Yeah. Has his consecutive snap streak snapped, came to an end. Awkward way to put that by me. After the Browns lineman left the game, I don't remember what the injury was now off the top of my head, versus the Titans. Thomas's streak ends at 10,363 consecutive snaps. So that's the other honorary number, or honorable mention number, however you want to go with it.
And he still has, in terms of number, the 167 in terms of starts.
Right.
So he's still got something going for him.
Can you imagine playing that many snaps for the Cleveland Browns?
That seems hurtful.
From a mental standpoint.
Exactly. And maybe not like an injury standpoint, obviously, but hurts the head.
Yeah, from a mental standpoint, how do you go to work every day just knowing that you're going to be defeated?
Oh, man. That's hurtful.
I'm just saying.
No, you're being hurtful. So
think about how tough Joe Thomas is mentally.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Is that a good sense of humor?
Yeah.
He's on, I think is it on Sunday Night Football? Or maybe their coverage. I think he has a little snippet. I don't know. It's a full show within a show. A segment,
okay,
I guess you could say.
There you go.
With Cooper Manning.
Okay.
Or maybe he was just the guest in the first week.
Maybe.
I don't know.
That's good reporting by us, but that's all right.
I really rocked it out, I think. I'm pretty proud of myself.
All right, so there's your 2 numbers this week. Let's go to Get Off My Lawn. It returns after a lengthy hiatus. I just didn't want people to think I was that much of a curmudgeon. And you're a happy-go-lucky guy, so really not much gets to you, which is the result of it taking a few weeks off. Car registration. I hate these things. I really do. It's a sticker on your car, or it's a sticker on your license plate, depending on what state you're from.
Let's forge it. Can we say that on?
What's this now?
Let's forge them.
Oh, forge them.
Let's get a business going.
Interesting.
Like we do some fake IDs.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Hopefully no authorities.
And only charge like $25.
They gotta catch me first.
That's true. That's true. They don't know where you live. Why do I have to pay $53 for the exact same piece of paper? I'm not getting anything new for my money. So why do we pay $53 for the exact same piece of paper, and instead of the 17 changing, the number 7, the number 7 changes to a 9, and we get to 19.
Bogus.
Yeah, it goes every 2 years. So every 2 years, I got to pay $53 to the great state of New York for what? A different piece of paper?
I think it's ridiculous.
Typically, when you pay for something, you get a service or a good. I don't know what service I'm getting out of this $53. I really don't.
It's not getting a ticket. That's the service.
That's it.
Which is ridiculous.
And don't give me the whole line of, the money goes to pay for police officers, or it goes to pay for maintenance to the roads, or signs, or this or that.
Slow maintenance to the roads.
Yeah.
Let's be serious.
We already pay taxes for those things.
Yeah.
Where does this $53 go?
Can it speed up
and how much
traffic, construction traffic?
Exactly.
I got stuck in it again today.
If it speeds up construction, I'm all for it. But
Yes.
it doesn't.
No, there's
it
no
doesn't.
way. No.
And it doesn't improve the quality of the roads, at least here in Syracuse, where there are a ton of potholes all over the place. So what exactly is this $53 going for? And why do we have to pay it every 2 years?
I don't like
If
it.
I register my car once, it's still my car. Now, if I go get a new vehicle, I should have to pay a new registration. Okay, that's fine. Still, it's a piece of paper, but whatever.
But yeah, it's the fact that same car. Hey, what's going on? Like you might get a spoiler on it. Those are super cool, I hear. But it doesn't really change the meat. The
Right.
car meat. Like,
it's
come
still
on.
a car. It's still the exact same car.
too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
In
don't.
essence.
To your point, the only purpose they serve is so that you can get a ticket. It appears.
And the checkpoints, and
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we
Hopefully,
gotta
you get
bet.
to see it from far away, and you're like, oh, taking a different route to work.
Hard left.
No, guys, my car is registered. Don't worry.
Mine's not at the moment. I'm waiting for my thing. I had to pay my $53. Now I have the temporary one for the record.
Get
I
him,
do have the
Popo.
temporary one, but I'm still waiting for the actual one,
Because
so I can
like-
just replace my
It's
sticker.
like a crayon. Like
No, you
what's
print
a
it
temporary-
out.
Oh,
They print you out a 10-day one.
Oh.
Because they say it could take up to 10 days. So that's the other thing. We can't even get them to people on time. What happens if it takes 11 days? What happens if it takes 12 days?
That's 2 more days.
But so I'm taking 2 days without my registration.
No, it's bad because, hey, checkpoint happens and there's some kind of miscommunication,
Yeah.
and then you got a big old ticket.
It's insane. This is a pointless fee by New York State.
Boo.
I will second that.
Boo.
I will second that. All right. Bump music in. What do we got around the corner? Will Cleveland, the Democrat and Chronicle, the beer guru himself, joins us to talk fall things, breweries, beers,
All the
Apple stuff.
fall things.
There you go.
I try to weave it through between
look
what
at
you were saying.
Yeah.
Didn't really work.
More songs that we don't have the rights to. It's all right, though.
But I said fall things, so hopefully.
All right, Will Cleveland next on To Be Determined.
Back here. Back with cheer. Nothing different than usual. We're back here on To Be Determined.
I thought you were going to go right into back with cheer. It's time for beer.
Nah.
Talk with Will Cleveland.
I thought it'd be productive to unintentionally say back with here again, even though that was not my plan. But whatever.
All right, well, hey, listen.
Keep it flossing.
It's good. It's good. D-block time for Bro Tip. We bring in the beer guru of the Democrat and Chronicle. I have you down here as beer columnist. Is that fair, Will Cleveland of the Democrat and
Absolutely.
Chronicle? All right.
Yes.
I just want to double check because
You can call me whatever you want there, Mr. Brown.
just like to make sure we get the title correct. That's all.
You've earned that right. I
All
don't
right.
care.
Fair enough. We'll
can
take
call
full
me-
advantage of that next
You
time.
can call me employed. That's all that matters.
That is
That's
true.
the important thing.
Yeah.
That is the important thing. Will Cleveland can be found at Will Cleveland 13. Cleveland like
Yes,
the
sir.
city, as we have learned in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. Womp womp.
Sorry.
That's all right.
All right. Last time we had Will on, we talked, I believe it was some fall beers and whatnot, and we determined that only one member of the current lineup right now, I was trying to think of a sports term, lineup, only likes pumpkin. That's me. So,
Hey, drink what you like, sir. Whatever.
yeah, I try. All right, so I tried to avoid
Got a winning field goal. Damn it.
checking the
for
fantasy
those
while we're...
No, I'm rooting for those plucky Jets.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, yeah.
I can't believe they made him.
You know, they might have 4 wins. That'd be hilarious.
Can't believe they made him come back. Ugh. They had it.
All right, let's talk about beer.
Let's do it. All right. Will, you go to a crazy amount of breweries in upstate New York, mainly on the western side of the state. But if you had to pick 3 breweries to visit in the entire state, which 3 would you go to?
Ooh, damn, that's a good one. All right, we're gonna spitball here.
Okay.
This is gonna be completely just off the cuff. I'd go to Other Half in Brooklyn. They make some of the best IPAs I think in this state. You know, they nail that New England low bitterness haze game that people really seem to enjoy. They just opened up a new tasting room, so it's supposed to be really cool down there. I would go down there in a second. I would then go to Suarez Family Brewery, which is in Livingston, New York, right by Hudson, maybe about 45 minutes south of Albany. They arguably they'd be in my top 5 probably breweries in the state without question.
Wow,
They're
small one, right?
Yeah, they're very small. They've only been up and running for a little over a year, and their brewer is this guy named Dan Suarez, who cut his teeth with Sean Hill at Hill Farmstead, which is by many considered to be, if not the best brewery in America, the best brewery in the world. So the guy just makes incredible just beer. I mean, it's everything he makes there is probably usually under 6.5%. It's got just a ton of body and just really crisp and drinkable and just really awesome beers. So I would totally go there. And then fudge. Let's see. Let's pick a third. I would go to Omegang and
Okay.
Cooperstown. Just because that facility is so cool, and they make some of the best Belgian style beers, this side of the Atlantic. So I would, that place is just so cool, And while you're there, you can go to the Baseball Hall of Fame. And, there's just, some whole bunch of cool stuff. But I would go there. So there's 3.
I've been to the third. Look at that.
Yeah, look at
Hot
you.
damn.
I've been to the third a few times actually. So
Nice.
there we go.
It's a cool place.
It is.
Yeah.
I just think of an old when I pulled up to Omegang. First of all, I drove past it the first time I went there because
That's easy to do.
they're hidden. It's way back on like a back street side road in the outskirts of Cooperstown because it's not actually in the
Backstreet Boys.
the village area. And
you can bump Backstreet Boys on your way there if you want.
You could. So I screamed past it because I had no idea that it was coming up. And after I realized I had gotten down to basically the end of the street, I turned around and was like, okay, I missed something here. And then as you pull up, you're almost taken aback at just how nice the facility is. It is a traditional Belgian brewery.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just the building itself. And I try to give people an idea of what it looks like when they ask. To me, it just looks like an old horse racing barn. Like, I don't know why I think that, but that's what comes to my mind is like I expect Clydesdales or something to be walking around the grounds or something. Like I know it's a bad Budweiser cliche, but
it's fine.
It's what it looks like to me.
It's just a cool experience. It's so different. You feel like you're in the Belgian countryside or something.
You do, absolutely.
So Apple Farms, obviously a fall staple. Are there any cideries brewing stuff that you'd suggest we try?
Absolutely. So actually, did we do it last weekend or 2 weeks ago? Last weekend. Thankfully, my girlfriend's in there to yell at me and correct me. Last weekend, we went out to Williamson, Wayne County.
Oh, okay.
And there's 2 fantastic cideries there. There's Embark Cider Works, which is at Laginer Farms. It's probably maybe like a mile and a half north of 104, right as you're driving through Williamson there. Do apple picking, and like a country store kind of feel, and they make some just incredible cider. And they also have a great draft list there. They just expanded their taste room and have just a plethora of really awesome local craft options. So I heartily recommend that place. And then I think it's maybe 7 or 8 minute drive just south of Embark is this place called Apple Country Spirits, also on a old huge family farm in Williamson. And they make this line of ciders called Rootstock, and their ciders are just fantastic. I tend to like the drier stuff. I'm not a big fan of like that back sweetened kind of, almost like candy flavor. Like kind of that sweetness or that gunk you want to kind of like scrape off your teeth because it's so nasty. So I like the ciders really dry, and both of those places do it really well. And then if I was going to pick a third, these guys aren't serving their own cider yet, but it's a really cool spot. I would go out to Blue Barn Cidery out in Greece. It's just north of Ladder Road on Manitou. So one side of the street is Greece, and then the other side is Parma, technically. So I think actually Blue Barn technically has a Hilton mailing address, even though I can assure you it is Greece. I did a lot of research just to make sure I had it right in my article. But this is also on a third or fourth generation family farm. It's the same people who own Green Acre Farm on Ladder Road own Blue Barn Cidery. So I heartily recommend them because it's a really, really cool space. And they're serving a lot of different people's ciders at this point. But hopefully later this fall, once they're finished with harvest, they'll have their own ciders. And it's just a really nice place to go and relax. And, it's got these huge windows, like garage doors. You can just kind of stare out into the apple orchard. It's really nice and peaceful, and I recommend that place a lot too.
I like to hear that because I live in Greece, right off Ladalong Pond, and I've actually passed the building a couple times.
Yeah,
recently.
It's really cool. It's worth checking out. I'm really excited to see when they're going to have their own cider. And, and Greece will be cool too because in the next few months they'll have that brewery that's opening up in Greece at the corner of Lada and Manitou called Wood Kettle.
Very nice.
It's an
That's a
old
nice name
daycare
for a brewery
actually.
too, actually.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that name a lot.
Yeah, so they should be open soon. So I'm gonna explore that and write about those guys at some point.
Very nice.
Beautiful.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of breweries and beer and whatnot, because that's why you're here. I got to slip one pumpkin question in, just selfishly. If you had to drink one pumpkin beer this fall, and we'll limit it to one because I know you don't like any of them, what would the one pumpkin beer be?
It's not that I like them. I just like them when they're not when they don't taste like potpourri.
Okay.
Or really gross, over the top spicing. I like it when it tastes like more natural, kind of subdued and balanced.
Okay.
That's why I've never been a huge fan. I mean, I know people love it. Southern Tier Pumpkin's never really been my kind of beer. I understand why people like it. They also do the pumpkin stout there, Warlock, that I know a lot of people really like. Again, not really my thing, but I can understand. It's got a huge following and it's hugely successful for Southern Tier.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, if I had to pick one pumpkin beer, fudge. That is incredibly difficult, and I'm really drawing a blank, honestly. Oh, here we go. This is one I would drink. I would drink Horsehead's Pumpkin.
Okay.
Horseheads from down there in Chemung County. Their pumpkin ale is fantastic. Get it in a bomber, a 22-ounce bottle, normally around maybe $6 or $7. Easily one of the best pumpkin beers. I would go for that guy.
So breaking away from fall vivations for a minute, what non-fall related beer should we try this week?
Wow, you guys are just throwing all these zingers out at me. Jenny, I always feel like every time you ask me this question, I always answer with Jenny.
Nice.
But Jenny Brewhouse came out with 2 new beers this week that are both really fun. They came out with the chocolate Scotch ale that's really cool, super chocolatey and really nice. I recommend that one. And they also came out with a really nice coffee stout that I really enjoyed. Yeah, I mean, there's some cool local beers going on. I know Knucklehead out in Webster just came out with their pumpkin ale. I haven't had this year's batch, but when I had it last year, I did enjoy that, so I would recommend that. Iron Tug over on Westridge, almost at Westridge and Dewey, is making some really nice IPAs. I know they just came out with their pumpkin ale. I haven't had that yet, but I'm sure it's good because those guys make really solid beer. Yeah, I mean, there's some cool local craft options. I also need to check out Swiftwater just came out with a coconut stout that I'm really excited to try.
Ooh.
And I got to go track down. Sounds
if you
like
like coconut flavors. Coconut beers are really good.
Yeah.
But if you don't
when,
like coconut,
when they're done right, they're really good.
Yeah.
When they're done poorly, they can have a tendency to taste like suntan lotion, which is really disgusting.
Oh, it's good. Good visual.
I'm very interested by that first one you said because obviously Scotch ale from Jenny is such a staple.
Yeah.
And then for them to have variations of a staple is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if they use the hedonist chocolate in this one because I know not last year, but maybe 2 years ago. I'm drawing a blank, but they came out with that salted caramel chocolate porter that was made with hedonist chocolate, from down there in the South Wedge on South Ave. I know for the original brewhouse batch of it, I'm pretty sure they used hedonist chocolate, but I'm not sure if they used it for this bigger batch. But I've heard it scaled up really nice. I'm excited to try it. I'm sure it's awesome.
Nice. All right. Well, what are you working on? What's the article that just came out? What do you got? What do you got brewing?
So
cheesy
let's
pun.
see. Last beer article that came out would have been actually I had 3 in the last 2 weeks.
Look at this.
I came out with a look at Lucky Hair Brewing, which is down on Seneca Lake in Schuyler County, just south of Seneca County, maybe about 15 minutes north of Watkins Glen. I think those guys are right with them because they're about to break ground in a big expansion, and I think they're making. I would say they make the best beer in the Finger Lakes. Big fan of what they're doing. Then I wrote about Fifth Frame over on St. Paul Street in the city. They're the first coffee roaster / brewery that's open in our city. Actually, the 9th brewery now in the city, which is kind of cool. I think it's by my count, I could be wrong. It's the 20th brewery in Monroe County, which is kind of crazy.
No kidding.
And they're not serving their own beer yet, but they have a coffee roaster / brewery that they're going to be serving all of their own beers, and it's from some really smart guys. 2 of the guys work together, Joe Bean, and then the guy who's going to be doing all the brewing is this guy named John Mervine, who is one of the co-founders of Rock Brewing. So that'll be cool.
Nice.
I wrote about Nedlow closing down in Bloomfield, which was kind of surprising. First brewery in this kind of the second wave that we've had that's closed in our area.
Really?
So people are automatically like, oh, there's the bubble. The bubble's starting to burst,
right.
which I think is complete nonsense. There's no bubble. I think we're plateauing maybe, but there's still plenty of room for growth, especially when all of these breweries are just so focused on local.
Right.
And so actually for my next beer column, I'm going to actually start working on it this week. I'm going to looking at talking to some local and national experts about, if there's a bubble. And I'm pretty sure I already know the answer, but it'll be fun to get some smart, informed people to kind of talk about what they see happening in the beer market here.
Yeah, no doubt.
I will say you're very quotable yet again, not yes again, and yes, you were. So, Beericle, I've never heard of Beericle before. Beer article, I assume that means. And
did I say Beericle?
Yeah, no, I thought it was intentional, like a beer article.
I didn't do that on purpose.
So that's beautiful. And
this is what happens when Will Cleveland is tired and sober.
And I think you said low bitterness haze game off the top, which was awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
I wrote about those last October. Almost, it would have been a year ago. New England style IPAs. That's what's really driving the craft market right now. Is those beers that use those sexy designer hops. So they're all more so big tropical fruits, pineapple, peach, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
And the way they add the hops, they really cuts down on the bitterness. So the beers tend to be really soft on your palate. So, like I said, Other Half in Brooklyn's making some fantastic beers in that style.
All right, well, where can we catch your stuff on the interwebs and whatnot?
DemocratandChronicle.com. I'm pointing at you right now for some reason.
I don't know.
DemocratandChronicle.com. And you can find me on Facebook and on Twitter at WillCleveland13.
There he
and
is.
Obviously print, so yeah.
Beautiful.
The beer guru, the man, the myth, the legend, Will Cleveland.
I'm something. Yeah.
Hey, regardless, we appreciate the time, sir.
Go Bills.
My ears.
You okay? All right, just making sure. All right, time for It's Got Legs, story that should continue to make headlines, at least for the weeks moving forward here. Quick shout-out to good friend of the show, the coach of the show, Stephen Malero, and the Kings College men's ice hockey team. They're set for their first game of the year. It's going to happen this Friday against a New York team. So the College of Brockport, where Steve used to coach, is headed down to play Kings College. Head coach Brian Dickinson, nice enough to travel for the program's first ever game, the inaugural game of Kings College for men's ice hockey.
Malls
so
at the Cribbo.
Steve's going to be able to, good friend Steve Malero is going to be able to open up his career, his head coaching career at home, which is really, really cool. Tonight, the Monarchs losing 4-2 to Stevenson in their first scrimmage, but...
Hey, it's a tune-up for a reason. That's why they call it that.
Yeah, exactly. Goaltender had 50 saves for him. They only got 20-something shots, so there's work to be done offensively, if you will, for that group. But, listen, it's a quick turnaround from when you get him on the ice to game one and whatnot, so Steve will do what he can. I will be down there in support and representing the show, as Trav's Mad is obligated to other things, unfortunately.
I wish I was there.
But I will represent TBD at the first game against Brockport and have a full report next Sunday.
Ooh,
or Monday, whenever we do the show. I don't remember.
Very nice.
I forgot what the schedule was. But
get like a little cell phone video?
Exactly, something like that. Interview the coach afterwards.
We know
exclusive interview.
We know him.
So yes, our thanks to... looking forward to that. But our thanks to Jon Scott of Spectrum News. Our thanks to Will Cleveland of the Democrat and Chronicle. Our thanks to the senior producer, Mitch Mula. Our thanks to the executive producer at Sports by Mom. Trav's Matt, my thanks to you. Make sure you check out all the social media links. This appearing on a Monday and Tuesday, or Tuesday, I should say. Make sure you check out the Dub Day show now, the new show we've released on Wednesdays. Make sure you check out the Friday show. We're trying to do this thing 3 days a week.
Trace.
We've got space to be able to put it up there, so we want to try to get it to you and utilize all that space. And, of course, the talents of the man that sits right across from me, one at Trav's Matt.
Wait, that's me.
That's you.
I thank you for going Mitch Mula. Not even saying the real name, followed by the nickname.
He hates that. Mitch Beluco, senior producer, to be determined. He hates that. Sorry.
I take back my credit.
I thought you wanted me to say it. I'm sorry. Yeah. So, listen, check out all the social media links and whatnot. Follow us on the interwebs. We'll give you a follow back. We're team follow back, I would say.
I follow some terrible people.
You definitely are. All right.
A lot of spam accounts. It's just a bad move. I'm going to get my social security number taken, I'm pretty sure.
You might be.
To be out there on the dark web.
I hope we figured out something on this episode of To Be Determined. Later, boys.